Days of our lives may be heading into two of the most explosive weeks Salem has seen in a while, because the spoilers for April 6th through April 17th are not just about one big twist. They are about pressure building everywhere at once. Secrets are getting harder to hide. Alliances are becoming more dangerous. Old feelings are resurfacing at the worst possible time. And several characters may be on the verge of making choices that could change everything. What makes these next 2 weeks so interesting is that the drama feels personal on every level. This is not just corporate scheming or family conflict. This is about fear, jealousy, love, survival, and control. Some characters may be trying to protect the people they care about, while others may be trying to protect themselves. And in Salem, those two motives do not always look very different. So let's break it all down, because there is a lot to unpack here. Brady's arc over these next 2 weeks may be one of the most layered stories on the canvas, because he seems to be standing between stability and emotional chaos at the exact same time. On the surface, the black patch opportunity looks promising. If Brady seriously considers stepping into a private investigator role, that could signal something much bigger than a career move. It could mean he is finally looking for direction again. Black patch carries history in Salem. It represents discipline, action, and legacy. So for Brady, this may not just be about taking a job. It may be about reclaiming a sense of purpose after spending so much time emotionally unmoored. For a character like Brady, purpose can be dangerous in a good way. It can force him to stop reacting and start choosing. It can pull him out of emotional drift. And it can place him in a role where he is expected to think clearly, act strategically, and hold himself together under pressure. But that is exactly where the tension comes in, because the rest of Brady's life may be doing the opposite. Rachel is still struggling at Bayview. Kristen is still deeply unstable when it comes to their daughter. And Brady's intimacy with Sarah suggests his emotional boundaries may already be getting blurry again. So while one part of Brady's life may be moving toward structure, another part may be sliding right back into emotional complication. Because Brady may want to believe he can build a more grounded future while keeping his personal mess compartmentalized. But in Salem, personal chaos has a way of bleeding into every decision. If Rachel's condition worsens, if Kristen becomes more desperate, or if Brady's connection with Sarah creates fallout, then this black patch chapter may begin under pressure instead of clarity. Not whether Brady gets a new job, but whether he can truly step into a more focused version of himself while everything around him is still threatening to fall apart. If one storyline feels like it is moving fastest toward a real collapse, it may be the one surrounding Sophia. The moment Kristen and Sophia begin plotting together, the danger level automatically rises. These are not characters who simply defend themselves when cornered. They calculate, they manipulate, they stay active, so the fact that they are aligned suggests this may be more than a temporary cover-up. It may be a deliberate attempt to stay one step ahead of the truth. But Tate setting a trap changes the rhythm of the story in a major way. Because once someone stops arguing and starts gathering proof, the stakes shift. Suspicion becomes strategy. Emotion becomes evidence. And if Tate is really working to get fingerprint confirmation, then this is no longer just about whether Sophia seems guilty. It is about whether he can prove she is lying in a way she cannot talk her way out of. A manipulative character can often survive doubt, accusation, and even confrontation. What usually destroys them is hard proof combined with multiple people starting to connect the dots at the same time. And that may be exactly what is happening here. Holly's role matters for that reason. Her apology to Ari and her explanation of Sophia's scheme may seem emotional on the surface, but narratively, it could be much bigger. It suggests the truth is starting to spread outward. It suggests Sophia may be losing control over who knows what. And once a lie escapes private conflict and starts affecting a wider circle, collapse usually comes quickly. She may still think she has time to maneuver. She may still believe she can redirect suspicion or manipulate the people around her. But if Tate gets real proof and Holly helps expose the bigger picture, then the next 2 weeks may not just hurt Sophia's plan. They may destroy it. The spoilers involving Kate, Xander, and Johnny are especially interesting because this does not feel like a trap that ends neatly. It feels like the kind of move that may create consequences far beyond the original target. At first glance, Kate and Xander setting Johnny up sounds like a classic Salem power play. It sounds aggressive, calculated, and possibly effective. But the immediate backlash from Maggie and Roman tells us this story may not land the way Kate and Xander expect. Because when respected family voices step in with anger that quickly, it usually means the issue is not just what the trap is trying to accomplish. It means the method itself may be crossing a line. Maggie blasting Xander and Roman slamming Kate suggests this may feel less like clever strategy and more like something needlessly harsh, morally questionable, or even humiliating. And once that happens, the emotional center of the story can shift very fast. Instead of the audience focusing on Johnny's flaws, they may start focusing on whether he is being pushed too far. Instead of Kate and Xander looking strong, they may start to look ruthless. That is always a risky move in a soap, because public sympathy inside the story can turn just as quickly as viewer sympathy outside it. Johnny may benefit from that shift more than anyone. If the trap corners him too aggressively or makes him look like the victim of a calculated setup, then he could emerge from this with more emotional support than before. And that would be deeply ironic, because Kate and Xander may be trying to weaken him only to make him more sympathetic in the process. The real fallout may not come from whether the trap works. It may come from the damage it does to the people setting it. Family trust could erode, old tensions could deepen, and Kate and Xander may discover too late that in trying to control Johnny, they have changed how everyone else sees them instead. Stephanie's storyline over these 2 weeks could end up carrying some of the most psychologically effective material in the whole preview, because this does not feel like a simple recovery story at all. It feels like the aftermath of trauma starting to show itself in a more dangerous form. What makes this work is that the spoilers do not pretend healing is straightforward. Marlena encouraging Stephanie to be honest suggests that Stephanie may still be trying to function normally on the outside while something much more unsettled is happening underneath. That is exactly what makes the story believable. Trauma does not always look dramatic from a distance. Sometimes it looks like restraint. Sometimes it looks like hyper-awareness. Sometimes it looks like a desperate need to stay in control of everything. Her decision to buy a gun is not just surprising because it shocks Alex. It is important because it reveals how deeply fear may still be organizing her thinking. Stephanie may tell herself this is about preparedness. She may frame it as self-protection. She may even believe it is the strongest choice she can make. But emotionally, it suggests something much sadder. It suggests she no longer trusts safety to exist unless she creates it herself. Because the issue may not be whether buying a gun is practical or extreme. The issue may be that Stephanie's world still feels unsafe even after the immediate danger has passed. And when a person starts building their future around that kind of fear, the consequences rarely stay limited to one decision. It can affect intimacy. It can affect trust. It can affect marriage. It can even reshape how that person sees their own identity going forward. So this may end up being less about one shocking confession and more about the quiet but serious damage trauma is still doing behind the scenes. EJ's position in Salem may seem strong on the surface, but these spoilers suggest he could actually be moving into a far more unstable phase than he realizes. That is what makes his material so compelling right now. He appears to be in control. He is celebrating the success of his experiment with Gwen. Lexi's awakening may seem to validate everything, and Theo possibly following EJ's advice could give the impression that EJ's influence is expanding rather than weakening. On paper, this should look like a win. But in soap storytelling, that is often exactly when the ground starts shifting underneath a character. Kristen is already suspicious, and that alone matters because EJ is rarely in a safe position when Kristen feels excluded. She does not react mildly when she believes she is being kept in the dark. She pushes, she confronts, and she destabilizes. At the same time, Abe's eventual reaction could add a completely different kind of pressure. If he learns the full truth about Paulina's silence and EJ's role in Lexi's so-called miracle, then EJ may not be dealing with quiet discomfort. He may be dealing with moral outrage and emotional backlash from people who feel the line was crossed. But the most dangerous complication may be Kat and Dimitri. The moment Dimitri realizes Kat works for the ISA, the entire power structure around EJ becomes more fragile. Kat's mission could be compromised. Dimitri may see an opening for leverage. And Kat's feelings for EJ could make her hesitation more dangerous than open betrayal. If she is torn emotionally, she becomes unpredictable. If Dimitri decides to exploit what he knows, he becomes a wild card. And if either one of them makes the wrong move, EJ's apparent control could start collapsing from inside his own circle. So the real question may not be whether EJ is winning right now. The real question may be whether this apparent victory is only setting up a much larger fall. Leo's storyline may bring a lighter energy on the surface, but emotionally, it has the potential to become one of the messiest romantic developments in the next 2 weeks. At first, Leo imagining a future with Dimitri makes it seem like he may finally be trying to settle into something real. There is a sense of movement there, a sense that he could be choosing stability over chaos for once. But the moment Javi re-enters the picture, that possibility starts to wobble. And that tells us something important immediately. Leo may have been trying to move forward before his feelings were actually settled. Because once Leo realizes he still wants Javi, this stops being about romantic confusion and starts becoming a timing problem. And timing, on a soap, can be crueler than rejection. Figuring out what you want after someone has already moved on is exactly the kind of emotional setup that creates desperation, jealousy, and impulsive choices. Now there is a new boyfriend in the mix, which means Leo is no longer just chasing clarity. He may be walking straight into competition. That raises the stakes fast. Leo now has a real decision to make. Does he accept that he hesitated too long and let the moment pass? Or does he decide that losing Javi is unacceptable and go after him anyway, even if it means creating chaos for everyone involved? The spoilers strongly suggest Leo is not going to take the quiet, noble route. He is not going to sit back and nurse heartbreak in silence. He is going to fight for what he wants. And that is why this story could spiral so quickly. Because once Leo stops reflecting and starts acting, the situation may stop being emotional and become explosive. Dimitri may not be fully out of the picture. Javi's new relationship may become immediate collateral damage. And Leo's pursuit of true love may end up creating exactly the kind of romantic disaster he claims he is trying to avoid. The biggest reason these next 2 weeks feel so strong is because almost every storyline is built around collision. Brady may be torn between purpose and personal chaos. Sophia's lies may be closing in on her. Stephanie's trauma may be reshaping her life. EJ's apparent victory may trigger even more enemies. And Leo may be heading straight into a love battle he cannot avoid. Meanwhile, Lexi's awakening may bring tears, confusion, and one of the most emotionally complicated reunions Salem has had in a long time. Because once Abe sees Lexi again, the past may not stay in the past at all. So these episodes may not just deliver shockers. They may reset relationships, expose hidden motives, and push several characters into far more dangerous territory than they expected. And if these spoilers are any indication, Salem is about to get a whole lot messier.